Freddie.
Good morning. I am Jeannie Grubbs, and I am here with my dear friend Kitty Webb. And Kitty and I met through First Help when we both unfortunately lost our loved ones who were law enforcement officers to suicide. I lost my husband, Corporal Robert Grubbs, also known as Grubby, on February 24th, 2021, and became affiliated with First Help that week. Thank goodness I did, because this week, with the upcoming of the next National Police Week in DC, once again we feel the sting of not being recognized and not being honored. Last week, an article came out on New York Times Magazine about why police officers take their lives. The public doesn't realize that more police officers die by suicide than in the line of duty every year. The only time this was not the case was during COVID, because COVID cases were counted as line of duty cases. Unfortunately, because of the way that they died, our husbands, our loved ones, have not been treated with the honor and respect that those other cases were treated. I was at the National Memorial in 2022 for Police Week. I was at that service, and I watched as the families, one by one, were called up and honored, and they placed roses in the 2 wreaths that they had that year, because there were so many that had died from COVID. Every family had an honor guard escort. Every family was photographed. Every family was recognized. And then they got to the end of the program, and they recognized international officers who had died in the line of duty, and they had a representative place roses for them. And then they had those who suffered in silence because they couldn't even say the word suicide. And they had 2 of our families that came and represented all of us, and their names went on in that memorial. They're not on the wall. This year we learned again that once again those who died by suicide will not be allowed to be on the wall. We learned this because in the article that was in the New York Times Magazine, Bill Alexander, who's the executive director of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund, which funds the wall, said that those officers on that wall would have chosen life. Our officers would have chosen life if they had known they had a choice. But in that moment, they didn't feel that there was another choice. Some have called it the easy way out. Some have blamed us. Some have blamed all sorts of other reasons. And yet, they all were law enforcement officers, and they all saw traumas that none of us have seen. Most of us will never see. We will see 1 or 2 critical incidents in our lifetime, where officers tend to see anywhere upwards to 800 in a 20-year career. Think about it. If you went to 800 domestics, 800 murders, 800 rapes, what would that do to your mind? It would injure you. It's an injury. It's not a disease. It's not contagious. It's an injury. We know that PTSD is compounded. It's time now for every organization to treat all of us equally. We aren't asking for any more than any other family. We are not lessening any family that's going to be in DC this week, honoring their loved ones. We respect that. We honor them too. But if you say that you are going to honor everyone, then you need to honor everyone. Instead of focusing on the way these men and women died, honor them for the way they lived. They deserve nothing less. My husband was a good man, and he was a great cop, and he deserves every honor that he can get. We deserve to be heard, we deserve to be seen, and we deserve to be recognized. I didn't cause his death. Kitty didn't cause her husband's death. We deserve to be heard. We deserve to be seen, and we are not going to sit back in the dark anymore and allow organizations like the Police Unity Ride to deny us our losses and our honors. So for those of you who are participating in those events, if you don't know, the Police Unity Foundation does not recognize suicide. They will not allow suicide on their wall. And they are one of the largest donors to the wall. The National Memorial Wall in DC is funded totally by donations. So the NLEOMF refuses to allow suicide because they don't want to upset their larger donors. For many of the officers that participate in that ride, I would believe that very few realize that we are treated that differently, but we are, and that is the reality of it. And so instead of sitting back, trying to be nice and extend the olive branch over and over again, that article made me realize that it was time that the nation heard, that they heard from us. So that's why we are making this video today, and I'm going to turn it over to Kitty.
Well said. The article was an extremely tough thing to read. However, it was very necessary to come out. The more that read it, the better. It was not even a year ago that Mr. Alexander said that no fallen hero would be forgotten. However, the fact that our loved ones' names aren't going on the wall show that they're forgotten before they're even considered. That just can't happen. It's hard to believe that those who smoke, those who don't take care of themselves, those that continuously engage in poor health behavior can be considered dying in the line of duty. However, those that suffer unrelentlessly, call after call after call, PTSD, just thankless efforts over time, aren't considered to be put on the wall. It is hurtful. I'm angered. I'm sure Jeannie is angered. All of the widows and mothers, fathers, grandparents, parents. I mean, anyone that has lost an officer this way has the same myriad of feelings that we do. And as Jeannie said, we're just asking not only to be heard, but to have that action put behind what we truly and our loved ones deserve. A fallen hero is a fallen hero regardless of how they died. Again, if it's going to be about honoring those for the sacrifices that they put out, then that's what it needs to be about, and not the way that they died.
Perfectly said.
Yeah.
I also wanted to add that we do have a wall. We have a wall in Dallas, in Rockwall, Texas, at Heroes Park, for anyone that's ever interested, that was done by First Help. If you would like to make a donation to First Help, I know they would be more than grateful. They have done so much for all of us, where other national agencies have not. And this is one small organization that was started by one woman in Massachusetts in 2016. And last year there were well over 300 families that were there when that wall was unveiled. And our names were read. Our loved ones' names were read. We got to hear them. We got to touch their names on that wall. We got to see them. So I would strongly urge that if you're considering a donation and you don't know where to send it to, think about First Help. 96% of those donations that are brought in come back to the families in some form or fashion, whether it be care packages, panels on the wall, or trips to Dallas that they've paid for family weekend. That's how it comes back to us. And it's done by a network of people who volunteer so graciously their time and their effort, and even their own money, even their retirement accounts, to put toward that effort. So if the national organizations, the big law enforcement organizations, the big powers that be don't want us, there is an agency that does. But I have found throughout my journey in the last almost 4.5 years, that I've not met one officer who doesn't believe that ours should be on that wall. Every one of them believes that, because everyone knows the stresses. everyone sees the stresses. I've not met one person, one civilian person who knew that we were treated differently. They all thought we were treated the same. And they all believe that we should be. And if you're leadership, it's time to look at yourselves. And it's time to take a look inside your organization and realize that if you haven't had it happen, you're lucky, because it will. Statistics have shown that. New York City just had their 7th this year. That's unacceptable, and it must change. The stigma must be smashed, and the only way to smash that is to bring it into the light and talk about it.
I think that you've said it all. I think in closing, I would just say that our loved ones, they didn't want to die. They just didn't know how to live at this point.
Yes.
So,
And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Whether you are grieving or not, we wish you a happy Mother's Day from us to you. We love you.